Can you believe the election campaign is only 2 weeks old? It already feels like a lifetime.
Look back up. Cross fingers.
But if you actually have a life and haven't been following blow by blow of the campaign, we can break it down for you.
Treasury, finance, of course, Mr. Speaker.
It kicked off with a brain fade from Prime Minister Scott Morrison, who appeared to forget where he was for a moment.
And the issue, Mr. Speaker, here we go, I'm back in Parliament, there we go.
And it ended with Labor leader Anthony Albanese getting the sort of positive news he had been dreading.
A blow for Labor's election campaign. Anthony Albanese has revealed he's tested positive for COVID.
We also saw the first leaders' debate of the election campaign, with Anthony Albanese winning by a very slim margin. But 25% of the audience still couldn't make up their mind on who to vote for, even after spending an hour with the leaders.
Has it helped you decide which way you're going to fall?
No, not really.
I'm still on the fence, I think.
I am still undecided.
If anything, it shows just how close this election contest is, which may go some way as to explaining why both parties are relying on scare campaigns in their own version of who lies wins.
Despicable lie which is being told by the Labor Party.
This government are still relying upon another scare campaign based upon a lie.
The coalition attempted to stoke anxiety over electricity prices under a future Labor government.
There are fresh claims today that the Labor Party's plan for the grid will push up power bills by hundreds of dollars a year.
The News Corp tabloids published stories on their front pages. Energy Minister Angus Taylor released the same numbers, but he couldn't produce any modelling to back up his claims.
Okay, Danny Price, the energy economist, says it doesn't make any sense.
Angus Taylor can't say what it's based upon.
Angus Taylor has added fuel to the bin fire of lies that this government tells about renewable energy.
From the Labor camp, the focus was on the cashless debit card and spruiking fears that a coalition government would force pensioners onto the scheme.
Pensioners of this country who are petrified that this cashless debit card will be extended to them.
Anne Ruston would love nothing more than to expand this cashless debit card to pensioners and to anyone else in receipt of a form of a pension payment.
But Morrison was adamant a government he leads will not force pensioners to use the cards.
We are not forcing that on pensioners. That is an absolute lie.
The other major issue, which would have been hard to miss this week, was of course the security pact signed between the Solomon Islands and China.
China just made a huge power play in the Pacific. It's setting off alarm bells in Washington and in Australia.
Penny Wong and others in the Labor camp were absolutely scathing of the deal and very quickly sought to pin the blame on the government for what they said was a massive foreign policy stuff-up.
This is the worst foreign policy blunder in the Pacific that Australia has seen since the end of World War II.
This is a massive foreign policy failure on the Prime Minister's watch.
Morrison, however, spun it this way.
We treat the Pacific family as siblings and as family. And our view is very much that you don't go around stomping around telling leaders in Pacific Islands what they shouldn't and shouldn't do.
This is a big deal for the government because foreign policy and national security forms a major part of their campaign platform.
This isn't so much a Pacific step-up, it's a Pacific stuff-up.
The Security Pact was one of the issues picked up in the first leaders' debate, which led to a wider debate about national security.
Why didn't you support turnbacks then?
Morrison and Albanese clashed over the boat turnback policy.
You weren't proposing then.
No,
you were not proposing.
I'm sorry, we were. It was our policy.
You were not
Turnbacks were our policy before the 2013 election.
Boat turnbacks are particularly awkward for the Labor leader, who opposed them when they first were put forward, but now supports them. It's also interesting to note that the questions asked by the audience members watching the debate were not about what we've been hearing on the campaign, but about substantial policy issues such as integrity, housing affordability, cost of living, aged care, electric cars.
I have a 4-year-old autistic son.
Morrison, however, found himself in hot water during the debate with his response to a question about a child on the NDIS.
Well, thank you, Catherine. What's your son's name?
Ethan.
Ethan, he's 4.
He's 4.
Jenny and I have been blessed. We've got 2 children that haven't had to go through that. And so for parents with children who are disabled, I can only try and understand.
Some people took issue with Morrison's response as it seemed to infer that having a child with a disability was not a blessing.
I have a child with autism and I feel blessed to have her, and I thought the Prime Minister's comments were insensitive and offending.
The next day, Morrison insisted he didn't mean anything by it.
I meant no offence by what I said last night, but I accept that it has caused offence. Every single child is precious.
So with another week down, what were the main messages that each campaign wanted us to take away?
What they do know is what they don't know about Anthony Albanese. What they do know is what they do know about our government.
One of the things I won't do is what characterises this Prime Minister, which is he always goes missing and he always blames someone else.
Looks like we're back to I'm not the other bloke as the main message each camp wants you to take away. Expect that to intensify as the campaign rolls on. We've got another month to go, so take care of you.